Hi.
Hello, hello.
Hi, we are back for a live together. It's been a while. Welcome. It's a Sunday morning here in Costa Rica. Might be the evening for you if you're in Europe. Welcome. How are you today? How do you feel?
It's probably unusual to hear English on this channel.
It's mostly French, but you know, with the podcast now, there's more and more English. Yeah, and we have a podcast soon also together, another one.
Where we tell our story.
Yeah.
How we got together.
Welcome everyone. Can you hear us well?
Just give a thumbs up into the chat so that we can start.
So today we wanted to invite you for this live to talk about love. This is a topic that we love to explore together and that we love to share about. We're very passionate about it. And we have created along the years a beautiful relationship, and we like to share how we did it. And then maybe with our ingredients you can make your own recipe and make your own magic. So maybe a little bit of context, because this video we will upload also on YouTube, and I will probably put it on every social media. I am Anne-Claire Meret, this is Christian Kasper. We live together in Costa Rica. We both do coaching and have different therapeutic modalities. Do you want to share a little bit of what you do quickly?
Yeah, as Anne-Claire said, I'm also a coach, I'm also a breathwork facilitator. We both work remotely, and my coaching, I mean, there's such a wide spectrum of coaching, and my coaching has more of a therapeutic approach to it. So I oftentimes work with people on where they are instead of focusing on where they want to be, because it's oftentimes coming from the ego. So we try to reprogram, we want to see what actually really wants to come out of them, what wants to be brought to life. So it has a bit more of a therapeutic approach from this perspective.
Yeah. And I mostly coach holistic practitioners who want to succeed in their business, heart-centered businesses. And otherwise I have online programs about various topics that I'm passionate about. And I do group coaching and mostly coaching now. But I come from EFT and naturopathy that I've been doing before. Voila.
Voila.
And
start?
Yeah, together we fell in love with love. Because when we met, we encountered some struggles, and we realized that we could inquire love more, so that we would be more empowered in our relationships. And this is what we want to talk about today. It's about empowerment and what it means to be empowered in our relationship, what we have done when we met and what we continue doing on a daily basis, and also maybe the pitfalls that we notice, not only for us but also for our clients and our friends, and all the hurt that comes with having a disempowering relationships that we can see every day. And yeah, we're going to talk about that. And also you've sent us beautiful questions, so we will be happy to answer the questions. And if you have more questions, you can also just ask them in the chat.
All right.
Do you want to start?
Our relationship, yeah. So a little bit about our background and how we got to this topic and why we explored this topic. And we will go deeper in the podcast that we really launch really soon into our story. But to just give you a brief setting here, when we started our relationship, I would say there were some pitfalls, or that could have been pitfalls, or that could have led to building a weak foundation for the relationship to emerge, because one was we were living far apart from each other. Anne-Claire was living in Bali and Thailand, and I was living in Germany, Berlin. So we were not able to see us all the time. It was oftentimes that we met for 2-3 weeks, and then we didn't see each other for almost like 1 month or maybe even longer.
Yeah.
So this is already something that can be tricky to navigate in a relationship. And on top of that, we also started in an open relationship. Unclear back then, she had 1 to 2 other partners. So and this obviously also can be tricky to navigate, because a lot of things might get triggered in this kind of setting. So we had to be really, really conscious of what we are doing. And because we already felt like, okay, what we can create here is super precious. Like, I think it's always like if you fall in love, it feels super precious. So we wanted to be really, really careful and conscious about what we're actually doing here and what is actually happening inside of this dynamic. So we were studying a lot of topics around relationships. We were reading many books. I had a coach for relationships. So we really dived deep into this topic. We explored it together. We were reading together books. We were doing the exercises of the books. And this all really informed the foundation of our relationship to make it more powerful and empowering.
And for the context too, quite just a little bit before, the year before, I had a terrible breakup. I was very hurt, and that led me to walk the path of forgiveness, and led me to inquire more about love and to understand why I co-created a dynamic where I was with someone which had a narcissistic behavior, but it was only possible because I gave my power away, and I didn't want to do that again. And I really wanted to be in love, but I wanted to keep my freedom, and I wanted to keep feeling empowered, and I didn't want to give it away. And this is something which was hard for me to grasp, because I thought that either I could have the love or I could have the relationship. The freedom.
Freedom, yeah.
So I didn't think that it was possible to reunite being in love with someone and feeling fully respected and really bonding with someone and feeling free and feeling the possibility of being fully who I am without having to give up parts of myself.
Yeah, and that's quite common, right?
Yeah.
Guys, everyone knows that you might not feel free in a relationship.
Yeah.
This is quite common, at least nowadays. I don't know how far back this goes, but it's quite common nowadays to not feel free. And I also had it before in other relationships where I was not feeling free, where I felt like restricted. I felt like I couldn't do what I really wanted to do. The path to where I want to be was blocked, and I didn't even have the perspective back then, because I didn't realize that this was possible. So there was a lot of restrictions in relationships that I had before.
Yeah. So what was interesting is that before I manifested him, so check the podcast coming out soon, where we explain all of that. I had taken some time to explore the topic of love and really inquire and read a lot of books and being coached and understanding where I come from with love and loving myself more and understanding more of the walls that I've put around me and all of my neurotic reactions regarding some people's triggers towards me. And it was super interesting that I've spent the time to inquire that. And also when we met, so Christian, you told me that you were not ready to start the relationship because you actually needed that time too, so that you could explore why your past relationship was not a success and why it led to hurt. And so you took the time to do these inquiries too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and this is some things that we didn't necessarily do before. Like for me, of course, like I had more and more consciousness around my relationships with time, but you see, I didn't really do the work before I was 35 or 36.
Yeah, there were a lot of unconscious agreements on how relationships should look like. That was coming from culture, that was coming maybe from past experiences, that might come from parents, or just people in your environment, or from movies especially as well. A lot of, I would say, bad examples.
And stories.
Yeah, and all this, they all carry certain agreements that we adapt to unconsciously. We think like, oh, this is how a relationship should be like, even though there's way more possible.
Yeah. So when we met, we took some time to get together, and because we started on an open relationship, we had to inquire agreements, which is something that I've never heard before. I only heard about agreements from the moment that I entered an open relationship, and I was guided by another partner which had a lot of experience regarding those things, you know, asking the right questions and then setting up agreements. And together we went through a lot of questions that we found in books mostly, and that also our friends were using too. And this helped us a lot to uncover a lot of topics which I would not have addressed before. It was really mind-blowing for me to understand that you can actually start a relationship explaining what are your values and what you really want, what's your vision for your life, what are your needs, what are your wants, how you behave and how you want to be seen and understood and feel respected, and what are your engagements also, what do you commit to towards the other person, like so many things. That was amazing. It was a lot of questions, a little bit like a interrogation, like police. But that led us to so much depth, and it was so helpful because at the beginning of a relationship, quite often we are blinded because we're like, oh my God, he's so handsome, or we're high on love, we're just like, oh my God, I met the one, and it's just you're completely blinded by the hormones and everything.
Yeah.
So we did the job with, mostly with books and friends helping us and coaching and therapy and all of this. And this was a great foundation for us because it created safety.
Yeah.
And this safety led us to allowing us to be totally who we want to be in love. And today I feel free and I feel loved.
Yeah, and safety, you mentioned safety. Safety is the most important in every kind of relationship that we have. Because, I mean, we all work on old emotional wounds that we carry around from the past. And the healing of those wounds, they can only occur when there's actually safety. So a relationship is such a beautiful space to actually heal and use for healing, and use for empowerment, right? But therefore we need the safety. And back then, and as I already mentioned, all the settings that we are in, it didn't seem really stable, or it didn't seem really safe giving by nature. But we created actually a really safe foundation based on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like building a house close to the beach. It's not always the best idea because the foundation is not always the best. But if you have a good architect, if you have a good engineer, you can actually build a really safe house close to the beach.
I like the image.
Also.
Yeah, so this is how it started and how it's going now. Well, we still take the time to explain each other what we truly need and want. We're very explicit about it, and also we try not to please each other, you know, like not too much like people-pleasing kind of behavior. It's more, we do things because we want to do them and because we want to participate, and each of us has 100% of responsibility, but we try not to have, when you do something in order to get something.
Yeah, just for your own self-validation.
Yeah.
Or for your own purpose. I mean, of course, this can always sneak in, right?
Yeah.
We're also humans, we're also healing, so this all still happens, but we just try to be more conscious about it, especially also if it's around things that we would like to do, but then we don't do them because we think like, maybe it will trigger you, or maybe this would mean this and this for the relationship. We try to be really conscious about it and see like, this is maybe just the stories that I'm telling myself that this could be a challenge for the relationship or could be a problem for the relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, we share the stories that we have in our heads about the ideas that we make of how the other one is thinking and behaving and all of this. Do you want to add something about empowerment?
How does it look like in our day-to-day life?
Well, you support me, I support you. Mm-hmm. This is a very supportive environment. This is what I would say the first one.
How does it show up? makes you supportive.
For example, when I doubt myself, or when I doubt myself, you're the one who reminds me that I'm much more powerful than I think I am in the moment.
Yeah, that's a good example. Yeah, vice versa.
Yeah.
Another example that's coming up for me is that I think it's easy to have this idea of like, oh, we have to do this and this every day together, or we should spend this amount of time together. If we're not doing it, then there's maybe a lack of safety for one of us. But this is not the case anymore. There might have been situations in the past where this was the case, but nowadays we have almost like quite independent daily routines. Like I wake up just really early in the morning and do my stuff, and then I visit her back in bed for just 10 minutes when she's waking up, and then we're going about our days. And sometimes we have lunch together, sometimes not, sometimes we have dinner together, sometimes not. We try to keep it really, really flexible and not putting ourselves under too much pressure. And I think this is something that we're doing on a day-to-day basis, not putting us under too much pressure of saying, oh, we have to do this and this together. No, this should come fluently, right? I mean, we love hanging out together, so we have trust that this will also come whenever we both have time to do something together. I
feel also as sometimes I'm a bit overwhelmed by busyness, and I think you're very supportive when I'm like overwhelmed and super busy, and not pressuring me to be less busy, which I really appreciate. And also when I think too small, you remind me that no, we can succeed, we can make it bigger, we can make it more beautiful. And this is just, it's amazing.
Yeah,
I really like that.
Yeah, he was talking about the overwhelm. I think it's so important that we are able to hold each other's space when someone's going through a stressful situation, and not make it about ourselves. Not saying, oh, why is this coming up again, or I don't have the space right now for it. It's about just giving the space for whatever the other person is experiencing, and not making it about ourselves, not giving the advice, not talking into it, but just listening to it and holding each other in these situations. And this is oftentimes not really enough. We overcomplicate things. We think like, oh, we have to give them advice. We have to be the savior. I think one question is actually about this role of being a savior. But no, the other partner just wants to be heard oftentimes.
That's why I choose a coach. This is pretty awesome. Maybe some of the pitfalls that we can see around us, like in our clients and in our... I have a lot of students because I teach coaching, and I have a lot of students who are trying to change their partners. And it's interesting because, when you become a coach, right away you want to ask interesting questions to your partner, and then you want to reveal their potential. And I would say that we're always trying to support each other to reveal our potential, but we're not pushing it. We're just allowing it to happen, because the environment is the best environment so that it can happen.
And we are reminding each other.
Yeah.
Of what's possible.
Yeah. Do you want to add something about people's challenges in your clients, or?
I think on one I already commented on putting too much pressure on each other of like, oh, we have to do this together, and this then suddenly doesn't give enough space for your own needs and your own desires. And that's really important, I think, to still follow your own desires and your own needs. Not only I know that this is really important. It's not about thinking. I know that this is really important in a relationship.
Yeah, and to do that, there is something very concrete that you can do, is just spending time alone. And even if you have maybe not the spaciousness at home, then you can create the spaciousness by just having different schedule. And then each of you has like 1 hour alone at home, and or outside, or creating the spaciousness to think by yourself and figure out what you really want.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's super important. That's crucial, I would say. especially if you want to, let's say you want to change career, or you want to do something else in your life, or you try to figure out what it actually is, what you want to create in life, or what you want to do. It's the spaciousness is so important. You need the spaciousness to find the right insights and the right answers.
Yeah. And if you work at home, like we do, you might want to consider to have 2 offices space with really separate spaces. And for us, it was really life-changing because during the lockdown, we were living in a 1-bedroom apartment. And because we were always at home, always working at home, we understood that each of us needed his own space. So now we're only renting 3 bedrooms, which can seem a bit big for 2 people, but working from home and living together, it feels totally right.
Yeah, and there's also some kind of excitement and sweetness in it, having our own rooms, because I mean, if I'm entering her office, I feel like I'm actually in her office. It feels like a bit novel. It gives like this feeling of like, oh, you're entering the space of someone else. Sometimes I'm inviting her to my office and ask her, oh, should we watch tonight a video or a movie in my bedroom, in my office? And then it's almost like a date. Like she's coming to me, and then I offer her a drink and stuff like this, like if we would not live together.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah, I think this novelty is really important, and having your own space is it's really helpful there.
Yeah. Okay, should we answer some questions? Or should we share maybe that we have module 1? So we created a program together called Empowered Relationships, and we gave birth to it. It was in May 2022.
Yeah.
And it's still available, and we've decided, because it's soon Valentine's Day, to offer the first module. There are 5 modules, and the first one is offered for free until February 18. But you have to do it before February 18, and it's available. You can find it in both our link tree in our bio. So just go for it. It's awesome. Yeah. So if you have any questions, you can ask them in the chat, and we will go through the questions that we've received on Instagram yesterday.
Yeah, all right. So the first question is, how can I attract the perfect man for me? And then there's another one which is related to it. I love myself more and more. I feel that I'm radiating more and more love, but I'm not attracting anyone. Yeah. What would you say?
Well, a few things. I love this topic. First of all, I feel very helpful to make the list of what you want, like what you're looking for in a partner. So you make this list so that you know how to recognize the person when you actually meet the person. And then you can make the list of what you want to co-create as a relationship, like the ingredients of the relationship, and then you can figure out who do you need to be in this relationship, like the qualities that you need to embody to be this person which is co-creating this beautiful relationship. Let's say you want to have a relationship which is fun, like you want the fun, and you're like expecting to find someone to have some fun, like I want to have some fun with someone, I want to be joyful, I want to do fun stuff together, you know, and you look up to it as if it's like a mirage, like you want to create it, but it's far away from you. Then to bridge the gap between this being far away from you and your present reality, you need to start embodying the qualities of fun. Like how do you bring fun into your life? How do you make your daily life more fun? And then because you will start to embody this quality, you will make different choices. And those different choices will lead you to go to events and places and meet different people and have the opportunity to find someone which is a perfect match for this. So it can be a bit more subtle than that, but I use that example because it's like very specific. And because you will vibrate this, then you're more inclined to create it in your life because you're a match for it. Does it make sense?
From my side, yes.
Or for example, I was looking for reuniting love and freedom. In order to do that, so I know a lot of people, and that's a pitfall, I know a lot of people who say, I will travel when I meet someone to travel with me. And this is for me a mistake, because if you start traveling and living your best life and like enjoying your time and you know, enjoying the freedom of creating that for yourself, then you will meet on your journeys someone which has also the same qualities of seeking freedom and having the curiosity for life and all of this. But if you stay in your small city or even your big city, you will be surrounded by people who might be very sedentary, like kind of, you know, in their little lives and having a 9-to-5 job and everything. And then you will meet people and you will say, will you travel with me? And maybe they will say, yeah, I have 2 weeks of vacation. But that's not what you're looking for. You're actually looking for someone who's going to drop everything and go with you. And in order to make that happen, you need to be this person first. And then you will find the person which is a good match for that.
Yeah, that's great. I think I would comment on one word that was falling in this question, which is perfect. What does it mean to have a perfect man? I mean, I'm not perfect.
You're perfect to me.
I mean, there will be always points where you might get triggered in a relationship or something. So I'm wondering what this perfect exactly means for this person who asked this question. Because it could also be like you're projecting something unachievable towards this person. And that's happening quite often. That happens really, really easy. And this is also, I think, one of the excitements of falling in love, that we look through this pink glasses, you say?
Yeah.
Pink glasses. We see like our projections of what we would like to see in this person, basically, on this person. And over time we realize, oh, it's actually, the image is actually changing a bit. The projection, we suddenly see like this person can't hold up to the expectation that we actually had. Yeah. So I would be really interested in understanding what a perfect man would mean for her. And then things like you said, like embodying already the qualities, all the qualities that you look in a man, they are already inside of you. They have to be inside of you, otherwise you would not be able to project them towards another man. And embody these qualities.
Yeah.
Learn about these qualities. Connect to these qualities.
Yeah.
And this will also help you of not falling into the trap of projecting these qualities onto someone who actually doesn't hold these qualities.
Okay, next question. When your partner goes through a hard time, how to not become a savior and not fall with him or her, and how to support him or her with love.
Okay. Yeah, we already commented a bit on that. First of all, I would not, I would be careful. You were already saying it in the question, how to not become a savior, because it's not about that. It's not about being the savior for someone else. It's about holding the space for the person to be able to heal, because the healing will just happen inside of them, and will be really tricky for us to heal the other person if they're not willing to heal.
Yeah. I think one of the main issues is that when we live with someone, or when we're very close to someone, we think we have an idea of what's best for him or for her. And then we try to kind of push it. We have an agenda. We want the person to find its way the way we think the person should find its way, but we're not right. We don't know what's best for him or her. So maybe encouraging the person to seek support outside of the relationship is a good idea, not to be the one doing it. And I know that in my community there are a lot of people who are therapists and coaches, so just try to take a step back and send him or her to someone else.
Yeah.
And then at home, trying to not be the fixer, but just offer genuine support and good ear and shoulder, so that the person can express fully who they are. And also maybe something else, it's to remind the person that she's able to find her own way. Maybe just find the right words to say, I don't know exactly what you're going through, you can share it with me, but I believe in you and I believe you're going to find your way. And I'm here for you, whatever you decide.
Yeah, exactly. It's not about pushing. You should really not push someone into one specific direction. They have to find it by themselves, and what you can just do is giving them the space of exploring what would be helpful for them.
Yeah.
And sometimes reminding them of their potential, of who they could be, of who they really are.
Yeah. It's an important one. Okay, next.
How do you navigate your different relationships? Right now we don't have other relationships.
No, we don't.
That's easy to answer.
So that's how we started our
Yeah.
relationship for about a year and a half. I had different partners, and then there was lockdown. And since then, yeah, I mean, in the middle of the lockdown, I had to stop one relationship, and that's it. We'll see in the future how it happens. Yeah. What is the biggest difficulty you have been able to overcome in your relationship?
In this relationship, I would say it was the beginning time, because there was so much uncertainty and a completely new environment of being in an open relationship. And we say here oftentimes open relationship, but it's not really about open relationships. It's just about defining your own relationship, how you want to live a relationship.
Yeah.
So the beginning was a bit, there were times where I was really, really triggered by jealousy, like knowing that she's meeting someone else. This was really triggering for me. What was really helping me here is to have open conversations with you, being aware that I was not trapped in a loop, because this is really easy. We just repeat the same story over and over again. So here what was really helping me was just time for myself, and also having a coach who could help me through these times.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then also sharing of what helps us to feel safe in the relationship.
Yeah, we've done that a lot. Instead of pointing what made us feel unsafe, you did that or you said that, and then I feel unsafe because of it, we choose to point the opposite and what was actually making us feel safe.
And this could be like small gestures. This could be something that we are saying that we point out then, because this is really important for the other partner to understand, okay, this is how I make you feel safe.
Yeah. One other difficulty that I remember is living in Berlin. For me, it was very hard, and I needed to go away. And I found it hard, but we found a way, and we went. You quit your job, and we left.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you deal with frustration towards one another? We don't have much. I mean, I can't speak for yourself. Sorry, I don't have much frustrations towards you.
Yeah, I just wanted to pick up my list of frustrations, but no, I also don't have. And let me think, do I have any frustrations? No, but I think it's also something, if there's a trigger coming up of frustration, I'm also aware of that this is not about her, it's about me. For example, I don't know, let's say in the kitchen there's a huge mess.
Yeah, I'm messy, he's tidy.
Yeah, exactly. This is a good example, I think, for frustration, where I'm actually projecting something towards her, which is not hers, which is more mine. So I have to ask myself, okay, what is it? What's getting triggered right now? What kind of story am I telling myself? For example, the story that's oftentimes revealing is that I'm not value of her respect or for anyone else's respect. So this is my story. Why she was not doing it because she's not respecting me?
No, because when he's not there, I just pick anything in the home and I leave it to another place for like 3 or 4 weeks, and I don't tidy for 4 weeks. That's just who I am.
Yeah, I think in these frustrations it's important to see, okay, what kind of interpretation do you actually have of this story, and see also the other possibilities that this interpretation that you have is actually not true. There are a million other reasons why this person maybe didn't do the dishes.
Yeah. Can you have a strong relationship with someone with core values which are different? I don't think I can. Why would I? For me, because
let's define what core values mean.
Yeah, for example, I don't know, someone which wouldn't value freedom. I will take the example of COVID, for example, and I could not have a relationship with someone who would have core values which are so different from me. and I don't see why I would, really. Like, I'm very, like, there are so many people in the world. I don't believe in the one soulmate. I believe you find someone and you co-create a beautiful relationship if you have similar values, similar visions, and if you are compatible. And you make it happen because love is a verb and you choose. And so I believe that this is in my power to choose the right person to co-create something beautiful. And I choose to have someone which has similar core values and not having to over-adapt all the time, every day, to something which is so different than me. And so my choice would be to find someone which has similar core values.
Yeah, and it also really depends on which areas of this life this core values show up. If it's, for example, around building a life together, right? That values that will influence highly what you're creating, for example, could be like the freedom, for example, or independency of a state or something like this. Then obviously it's really important that you have the same shared values if you want to live into the future together. But there are, I think, also some other values, for example, around interests that you have, and I would say it's totally fine if you have different values there.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, for example, you're more adventurous.
Yeah, for example, yeah. And this is one of my values, I would say. It's maybe not adventurous, but it's around this aliveness, this joy and this inner child that I can embody in this kind of adventures.
Yeah.
For you it's a different way, for you it's something else.
Yeah. So I would say that maybe we have some core values, maybe like 5, which will be similar, and it helps us build something with great foundations because we have, it's not opposite from each other. And then we have an extended list of values where we have differences and we just live with our differences and respect each other. Voila. Do you have any other questions? Maybe if you're present live. If you're in the replay, you can tag us. And you put a question and then you tag our name, and then we will have a notification and we can come and answer. Do you see something else you wanted to share?
No, there was something that was really interesting that I was hearing recently. It's about how we define love, and in more ancient India, they had 97 different words for love that describe different kind of love that you can experience. But at least in English, we only have one word, which is love. But there are other loves, right? There's, for example, the motherly, the love that you receive from your mother or that you experience towards your mother or your father. Then there's a love that you experience to your brother, to your sister, to your best friend, the love that you experience to your partner. And then in this realm of partnerships, there can also be many different forms of love. For example, the beginning of a relationship, you experience a different kind of love than you would experience 10 years afterwards. You're still in love, but it has a different shape and flavor almost. But I think this is sometimes good to remember that there are many different shapes of love that we can experience.
Yeah, and that it's never too late to be more empowered and be more of a creator in your relationship. We've had people joining empowered relationship because they wanted to find love, but we've also had people who've joined the program because they wanted to reconnect to themselves and the feeling of love within themselves, and then co-create something even more beautiful in their relationships. So at any stage, it's always interesting to dive deeper and figuring out what we really want. Voila.
And it's a constant work, like redefining the agreements. We just recently did it in August, right? In Mexico we did it. That we are going through our agreements again, seeing which agreements are still alive inside of us, which maybe changed, or maybe we got rid of them.
Yeah, you make your own rules.
Yeah.
You're the boss. Well, voila. If you're interested in joining our program, Empowered Relationships, it has a discount from now to the 22nd of February. And the discount is with the promotional code LOVE, L-O-V-E, capital letters. And it's 119 euros instead of 169 euros. until February 22nd. Yeah.
And the link can be found in our bio.
Yeah.
For the free module and for the whole program and the discount.
Yeah. If you have any questions, just reach out to us. And just maybe to explain, because we've been talking in English since the beginning. So together we talk only in English because Christian is German, I'm French, and in order to make our work together available to the most people, the program is in English with French subtitles. And the meditations, they are in French and in English, because obviously you're closing your eyes, so you're not reading subtitles. So it's my voice in French for the meditations, and it's your voice in English, or maybe both our voices, I don't remember.
I think some things we translated into French as well. Meditation, for example,
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
and then the breathwork sessions, I think.
The breathwork session is in both languages. All the exercises, they're in both languages. Below the videos, all the exercises are written in English and then in French, or the opposite. Yeah, we've had participants in both languages, which is super awesome. Yeah. So we wish you all the best. Lots of love, and the most important is to just reconnect with the feeling of love in life. Whether we have a partner or we don't have a partner, it's just love is always all around.
Yeah, all the different shapes of love.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just love. It's many different shapes and forms.
Yeah, exactly. Well, have a beautiful Sunday night, and feel free to reach out to us if you have questions.
Thank you so much, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.